Our guest today is someone who understands what it's like to carry the weight of the world on their shoulders while your own health equity falls apart. Nurse practitioner Charisma Freeman is here, and we are going to talk about something that's affecting your life right now, whether you're willing or not to talk about it. If you're listening to this and you've been told you just need to manage your stress better, you've been experiencing mood changes, sleep problems, or that constant feeling of running on empty, and you're wondering if this is just your new normal, this conversation is for you. And here's what I want you to know. By the end of this episode, you're going to understand that you don't have to suffer silently. You're going to learn about a holistic approach to mental and women's health, and that goes beyond just another prescription, and you're going to feel empowered to prioritize without guilt. Charisma, I want to thank you for being here. Before we get into everything, I want you to talk directly to the person listening right now, that high achieving woman who's juggling everything, the healthcare professional who's burning out while caring for others, the entrepreneur who's building something meaningful but neglecting herself. What could shift in their life? What could actually change if they really take to heart what we're about to discuss?
Your whole life can change. Your mental health is the backbone of who you are. It helps you to decide if you're going to be the nurse that's working, that's burnt out, if you're going to be the entrepreneur that never sleeps, if you're going to be the mother that never takes a moment for herself. So this is life changing. This is transformational. The question is whether or not you're willing to take that moment to focus in on you.
Mm. I want to make sure everyone understands what's at stake here because we're talking about your quality of life, your relationships, and honestly, your ability to show up as a person you want to be. If you're a patient or caregiver listening right now and you've been managing perimenopausal symptoms, mental fatigue, or the pressure of being strong for everyone else while falling apart inside, this conversation is going to help you understand that there are options beyond what you've been told. If you're a nurse, nurse practitioner, or healthcare professional who's been trying to help women navigate these complex hormonal and mental health transitions, but feeling limited by the traditional medical model, you're going to walk away with a framework for truly holistic care. If you're the healthcare entrepreneur building a business that serves high achieving women who need more than a 15-minute appointment and a prescription, this is going to give you the language and the strategy for a care model your community actually needs. Charisma, let's start with your story. How did you get here? What made you dedicate your career to the specific intersection of functional medicine, women's health, and mental health?
My story has so many parts, but I'll give you the cliff notes. I'm a mother of two. My oldest is in college now. My youngest is a child with special needs and a disability. He has a very rare disability called CAND or KIF1A. When he was diagnosed, there were about 300 people in the world with it, and he was the only one with his mutation. I was a nurse practitioner working regular practice, like all of us. And I realized when he got diagnosed, he wasn't officially diagnosed until 7. Before that, they thought he had cerebral palsy. But what I realized is that this disease, it's like think MS in children. It declines as they continue on. So I said, well, if it's going to decline, we're going to live our life now. So when my daughter went off to college, that's what we did. We moved abroad, and in this search to give him a life. But while doing so, what ended up happening was I wasn't just giving him a life, but I realized I had my own healing journey. And it was just beginning. And during that time that's around the time I found functional medicine because I was doing the healing. I myself suffered with depression, especially being a mom, dealing with so many things, and at that time divorced. And I found that healing holistically, doing that type of work seemed to heal me so much better than just the medication and things of that nature. It was incorporating all of these different things. It was incorporating movement, incorporating meditation, going deep into therapy, all of these things in combination, they were healing me. And then when I returned to the States in a year and did my son's checkup, I found that they were healing him too. They didn't see any changes in him. They did not realize I was living abroad. And what they said was, whatever you're doing, keep doing it.
Thank you so much for your transparency, and your story that you've been sharing on YouTube is actually how I found you through another mutual YouTuber. And so when you showed up in our inbox, I couldn't believe it. It was like, oh my, I already felt like I knew you. And I appreciate your transparency. And so many of us share your similar experience with feeling burnt out, feeling the need to take things into your own hands, and diverting from that medical model that we spent all those years learning, and finding out that the real path to healing might not always have to deal with a prescription or something you have to buy at the pharmacy. Although we do think they work well together if you need them, right?
They
But also
do.
just don't learn enough about the things that we can do that are right here in our kitchen. I say that all the time. So, and right outside in the sunlight, and grounding, and
Yes.
being present. So now, before we dive into functional medicine, which we have covered a few times on the episode, so our audience is familiar, and mental health, which of all the episodes we've done the most on just by chance, mental health and Black maternal health. And I'm very grateful for that, being able to bring more awareness to these topics that are so important. I want to share a story that illustrates exactly why this matters. Meet Keisha. She's a high achieving woman in her late 30s, the kind of person everyone depends on. At work, she's the one that everyone calls when things need to get done. At home, she's managing everything from her kids' schedules to her aging parents, medical appointments. And on paper, she's crushing it. But here's what no one sees: she's exhausted in a way that sleep doesn't fix. She's irritable with the people she loves most. Her periods have become unpredictable. She's lying awake at 3 a.m. with her mind racing. And when she finally went to her healthcare provider and said something's not right, she was told her labs look normal and maybe she should try meditation and get more sleep. Keisha left that appointment feeling more alone than ever because the message she heard was, this is all in your head. You just need to manage your stress better. But what if Keisha's story doesn't have to end there? What if there was a path to wellness that actually addressed what's happening in her body, not just her mind? What if she didn't have to choose between being strong and being well? This is what we're going to unpack today. And I think what you're about to learn is going to change the way you think about women's health, mental health, and what true wellness actually looks like. If you're new here, welcome to the Melanin Initiative. I'm Dr. Kimberly Madison, a doctorally prepared nurse practitioner and one of the co-hosts here at the Melanin Initiative, along with our team, Alicia and Geraldine and Angie, who all send their love in their absence. We're a health literacy podcast. When we say health literacy, we're talking about your ability to obtain information, to understand that information, and then to use it to manage your health and advocate for others. We have two missions here. The first is to promote health literacy. The second is to elevate the expertise of nurses, to bring more awareness to the diverse career opportunities in the healthcare industry, and then to let all of our peers know how they can leverage their expertise, both as clinicians taking care of patients, but also as entrepreneurs, adding value and solving so many problems that exist in the world. If you haven't already, this is your invitation to subscribe, leave us a comment or two, share this episode with someone who might relate to what we're talking about. Every time you engage with our platform like that, it shows the algorithm that this information is important, so that when people like you look for topics like this, we'll show up higher in the search results. Remember, this show is for educational purposes only. The opinions expressed here are our opinions alone. They are not a representation of any of our affiliations. If you think you might be experiencing a medical emergency, you seek medical attention and medical guidance from your healthcare provider. If you think you might be having a physical emergency, you should call 911. If you or someone you know might be having a mental health emergency, you can call 988 or text 741-741. Now, Charisma, before we get deep, let's have a little fun. We'd like to get to know you a little bit better with our quick fire questions. No overthinking, okay?
Hmm.
One, you can take your time with, right? Because we want to get to know who you are. So without talking about what you do or the titles that you have or the roles that you play? Who are you and who are you becoming?
I feel like I'm a healer. I was put here to help heal so many in the world. Um, in healing myself, I heal others. Um, it can be my children, it can be people I don't know. Um, just showing them that there's another way in this world. And by just living my life the way that I choose to live it unapologetically, here I am.
And by here you are, you're helping us with a new milestone. Can you just share with the audience where you're joining us from?
Today, I'm in Kenya. In 2 weeks, I'll be in Senegal. I just live my life.
We love that. How has the goalpost shifted for you in the last year?
Oh, goodness. In the last year, I think I really had to focus in on what it is that I want to do. You know, I'm one of those people that wanted to be a nurse or a doctor ever since I was a child. So leaving the US and saying I'm going to move to Africa and see what that's like. And when I do, I'm not going to work for someone looked a little different. So the goalpost has changed. I tell people this is just my new normal. My new normal is constantly changing. So, what I have found here in the last year or two is that I want to help women. And how I do that has really shifted, and I've really curated that over time. And it's not just, I want to help in this place or I want to help in that place. It's a combined effort of things that I want to do. It's been me actually creating a program for women. And it's based off of my journey and the journey of other women around me. So this is not what I thought I would be doing 5 years ago at all.
Hi, I'm Alicia from the Melanin Initiative podcast. Our mission is twofold. One, to simplify complex health information so you feel empowered to ask questions, educated on how to manage your health, and confident to navigate the healthcare system. And two, to elevate the expertise of nurses, spotlight the diverse career opportunities within the healthcare industry, and inform our peers how to leverage their expertise as clinicians and entrepreneurs. In less than 2 years, we've grown to over 50,000 views and 1,000 downloads, with an international audience spanning the US, Canada, the UK, Australia, and more. Our engaged listeners are professionals, entrepreneurs aged 25 to 44 who value authentic, impactful content. Want to connect with this dynamic audience? Advertise with us. Send in your 1-minute video ad and let's amplify your brand. Email tmi.melanin@gmail.com for rates and details. Let's work together.
One thing you love about yourself?
My smile.
It is beautiful. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, make sure you head on over to YouTube or LinkedIn so you can see it for yourself. One thing you're learning about yourself?
That I'm an extroverted introvert.
Hmm.
I'm always out and doing things, but I need time for myself to rest and to do nothing sometimes. And that's different for me because I've always been the person on the go.
And when this is all said and done and all your chapters have been written, what's one thing you want everyone to remember about your journey?
That she gave from her heart without restrictions, without reservation. It didn't matter who you were, but whether you were the richest, the poorest, she just gave as she was led to.
Thank you for sharing that and let us get to know you a little bit personally. So let's go back to our friend Keisha and her specific challenge, right? the silent struggle of high achieving women experiencing mental health and perimenopausal symptoms. Many of our listeners might be experiencing something similar. For the person listening right now who's been told their labs are normal, but they feel anything but normal, what do they need to understand about what's actually happening?
The first thing they need to understand is that they've been living in this body for X number of years. And if they think that something is wrong, something is probably wrong. It doesn't matter what labs, blood work, any of that says, because this is your body and you know what is normal for you and you know when something is abnormal.
I love what you said. That's really important. I want to pause right here because what you're saying, which is what I spend a lot of time telling my own patients, and it's probably because we are not really taught about health and health literacy in particular at home or at school, is that they are the expert in their body. Even though I'm wearing the white coat, even though I went to put all those years in school, even though I'm writing the prescription and giving the diagnosis, the information that they have to tell me is so much more valuable than anything I could ever tell them. Can we just stay there a little bit longer and say more about that? We have some cultures who really are kind of off hands, and whatever you tell me, I'm going to do that.
Yeah. I think one of the things is when I would work in the clinic, one thing that I would do is I would be very intentional about making sure my patient was educated because the lack of education is what steers you wrong. When you know what to expect when your body goes haywire, that's when you can speak up and say, "Hey, Charisma, something's wrong. Because of XYZ." For example, let's take a diabetic. A diabetic, if they don't know their numbers, if they don't know where they should be, their range, then they don't know when to say something is wrong. So what happens is they wait until they start to feel it in their body when they know, okay, something is really, really wrong. And now we're at a place of an emergency. When in actuality, we really need to be paying attention to those little signs, those little tweaks and little quirks that are, that we're like, this isn't right. What's going on here? And especially women as they become, get to that age of 35 and up, there are changes, major, major changes that are going on in your body behind the scenes, but the labs don't say anything. Well, those are labs, so according to the labs, you're fine. Even when you look at functional medicine, we look a little bit outside of the regular labs, the optimal labs, because labs don't tell your whole story. You tell your story. You sit down and you say, "Hey, this is what's going on. My hair is thinning. My cycles are getting shorter. I am getting ticked off quicker." Those are not signs. Those are not, "Oh, you'll be fine. You just menopausing or you're just PMS." No, those are telltale signs. Those are things that this wasn't the case before. This is the case now. So find a person that's going to say, "Hey, let's find out what's going on. Let's investigate a little longer." And not the doctor that's going to say, "Go do some meditation."
Mhm.
Meditation is nice, but it's not fixing my edges if they're thinning.
Yeah, and I heard it from somebody, and I've been repeating it. The squeaky wheel gets the oil. I tell my patients all the time, the people who speak up the most get the best care. And I know everyone's supposed to get the same care, but I'm just saying that's just what I see when I have, multiple responsibilities, multiple patients that needs to be met. The person who continues to bring my attention to them gets most of the attention. And I know people don't want to hear that, but in a system that's very stressed, people who are sicker and sicker every single day with fewer and fewer resources, unfortunately, that is the situation that we have right now. And those little messages that you were talking about, those little signals, that's why we love to tell people to make sure you're seeing your primary care provider on an annual or more frequent basis if that's been the recommendation, because they're there to catch those little signals, those little messages, so that we're not using the emergency department as our primary care provider. And we've tried to emphasize a lot how important it is not to use the emergency department as your primary care provider. They are just there to put out the fire. But after the fire is out, they are assuming you have someone to oversee the rest of your healthcare journey. You might never see them again. And we really need that space for the people who are really sick and who really need it. And if you're seeing your primary care team, and that's everyone, right? That's primary care, that's your therapist, that's your dentist, that's your eye doctor, that's your guy. Those are all primary care concerns, right? If you're seeing them on a regular basis, they'll notice those little sounds. They'll be able to tell you little things that, oh, it's nothing to worry about, or hey, let's pay a little bit more closer attention to this. And you mentioned for the patient about the labs being normal. Even for us, we're told these are guidelines, but they're guidelines, right? You still have to use your clinical judgment to make your final decision. And so for our friends who are in healthcare and they're listening, you're probably seeing this play out in your own practice right now. Women come in, the labs show normal. They're telling you they feel they're not okay. You can look at them and even you feel, okay, something's not right here. Charisma, what should our peers in healthcare be looking for beyond the standard labs?
Well, I think first of all, like I said, the conversation is really important for. I personally like to encourage a client or patient to write a list of the things that's going wrong before they come in. Once you get there, you only have a few minutes. You tend to start to forget things. You meant to say this, meant to say that. Write a list before you come in of the things that are different or the things that you need to be addressed or even the things that you have questions about. And as providers, that gives us somewhere to start because when you come into a typical clinic, we listen to your heart, your lungs. We just really hit on the major things. And we typically will ask you at the end, do you have any concerns? Well, that's your time to speak up. And even me as a nurse practitioner, having a child with a disability and special needs, I was being ignored until I really started speaking up and said, well, no, we have this, and this. What are you going to do? How can you lead me? And that's the thing. We have to be our own advocates. So when we come and we advocate for ourselves, then your provider has no choice but to listen to you. Now, what they decide to do from there it's up to them. Are they going to look a little deeper? Are they going to send you to a specialist? Maybe it's not just about labs. Maybe they need to do some testing. Maybe they need to do maybe it's an MRI or an ultrasound. Something else needs to be done. But it's a two-way street. We need to come with the information as patients, but as practitioners and doctors, we need to be willing to listen to them and maybe even ask some probing questions.
Yes, thank you. That was so the list is, the tangibles that people can say, okay, that's something I can do. They're really helpful for people. And the more we keep saying it, hopefully people will say, okay, look, I'm hearing this from multiple people. This must be a real thing. And even I think patients recognize they come in for one thing and then they get frustrated because, we don't have the time for everything. So on that list that they're writing down, they probably should put the things at the top that are most concerning. And as you go down the list, if time runs out, at least those top things were addressed in that particular visit. And I don't know when your show is going to air, but we do have an episode on helping people use AI to prepare for their healthcare visits. And so if that video is already out, you can check our playlist and see that. And in particular, is for our older adults so AI is not scary, but that it's a helpful tool for them to make the most of their visit before, and then to summarize what was said and what do I need to do now that the visit is over. So when we think about our friend Keisha, I want to make sure we're all tracking. So far, we've talked about how high-achieving women like her, especially women of color, are suffering silently because they've been conditioned. We've been conditioned to push through, and how the traditional medical model often misses what's actually happening. So let's bust down some myths and about what actually that looks like. So everyone, here's your first takeaway from our conversation. You don't have to suffer silently. Seeking help is a sign of strength, not weakness. We really, in our community, that is something that we could keep talking about every single day, right? And you deserve to be understood without having to explain yourself. Women especially need to take that, to internalize that one. There are so many myths and misunderstandings around functional medicine and mental health. Charisma, what are the biggest misconceptions that you encounter in your practice? And what does your practice look like from Africa?
So my practice is virtual. So wherever I am, I'm there.
I
So
love
that
that, by the way.
Yeah, that doesn't change anything. Half the time, you may not know where I am. So, with functional medicine and mental health, what I do is a little different. I bridge the gap between mental health and physical health, and I utilize functional and holistic medicine to do that. So, a lot of times, what people, first of all, people have to understand what a nurse practitioner is. That seems to be the first breakdown, is that a lot of times they don't know what a nurse practitioner is, where they stand. Are they above? They know the registered nurse, they know the doctor, but are they above that? Are they below that? So that's the first conversation. And then functional medicine, they're like, is it real medicine? What are you doing? Are you certified? How does that work? There are programs that you can be part of. They're working on an official certification, but functional medicine is was created to kind of address those things that we may leave off in traditional medicine. So it focuses more on things such the underlying causes, as I like to say, sleep, nutrition, movement, and I say movement, not exercise, because it's a little different. It focuses on stress. It may focus on things such as your exposure to toxins and things of that nature. And when I say that, it's kind of hard to grasp sometimes, but I had a client who lived in New York during 9/11. There's exposure to toxins there that are still carried in your body. So those are things that we look at. We look at all of these different areas that we don't always take a look at in regular clinic. And for me, I don't focus as much on labs and functional medicine. There are functional labs as I do on my clients and what they say. And I do a lot of digging and probing to find out different things. So that's why our appointments are definitely longer. But it's more about it's less about medicine and more about you as a whole person, if that makes sense.
And I'm glad you're here too. So you mentioned the nurse practitioner role. How do you describe that to your clients?
Well, what I used to say, the simple way to say it is I do just about everything the doctor does except for surgery. That is the most simplistic way I've learned to explain that. But I think over time, I think that nurse practitioners coming from a nursing background itself, we tend to have a level of care and compassion that you don't always see in the doctor. The doctor may have a little more medical, and I say a little because every nurse practitioner is different, but I feel like they think with their medical mind first, and we combine the two, the compassion and the medical mind. So I think a patient or client that's coming to you and explaining this is going on, this is going on, this is going on, is more accepted by the nurse practitioner than it is by the doctor, because the doctor tends to need something very abstract to touch on. They need those labs, they need the tests. And I feel like nurse practitioners, we're going to listen a little more. We're going to pull a bit more out of you. We're going to use the labs and the tests and the medication and all those medical tools. But we're also you coming back to that nursing model where our focus has and will always be that individual in front of us.
If you smoke and you want to quit, first we want you to know that quitting nicotine is one of the hardest things a person can do. Not because you lack willpower, because nicotine physically rewires the brain. This is not a character issue, this is a chemistry issue, and you do not have to do it alone. Here are your options. Nicotine replacement therapy, patches, gum, lozenges, and inhalers reduces withdrawal symptoms by giving your body a lower, controlled dose of nicotine while you break the habit. They are available over the counter. Chantix is a prescription medication that reduces cravings and makes smoking less satisfying. It is one of the most effective cessation medications available. Bupropion is another prescription option that reduces cravings and is especially helpful for people who also experience depression. Counseling and behavioral support, whether in person, by phone, or through an app, significantly improve quit success rates when combined with medication. Call 1-800-QUIT NOW for free telephone counseling. Visit smokefree.gov for free apps and text support. And talk to your care team about which option is right for you. Quitting is possible, support is available, and you deserve both. This message is brought to you by the Melanin Initiative podcast, where we simplify health information so you can advocate for yourself and for the people you love. Find us on Apple and Spotify.
And we have done we've done one panel so far where we talked about the different roles, nurse practitioner, MD, even a PA. And we had a student who at the time was deciding which route to go. I'm kind of happy to say she chose the nursing route. And as we were, and this was a year ago, but she did an accelerated program, so she'll be graduating next month. But it's in our playlist, in our education playlist, and you can check that out. And the question really, because the doctor that was on, she really was trying to figure out what's different, like how, because she felt like that doctors do that too, right? And even I've tried to explain everything you said. I say the same thing, right, in terms of how
Yeah.
the role is and how it's different. And I really think it comes down to that, like the person, right? And yes, I think you need this medication. Yes, I think you need this test. Yes, I think you need this surgery. But also, if you need to sleep on it, if you need to talk to your family member, if you need a week, if you need to talk to psych first, I think that's also important. If you choose not to do this, that's also important. And, making generalizations about our different roles, because it always comes down to the individual person. And I find you can always tell a doctor who comes from a family of nurses. I'm just saying there's a little different thing there. I don't know how to describe it, but it's a thing. And you're looking like you understand.
Yeah. I think it's just that level of love and compassion. We just come from a different model altogether.
Yeah. And the listening is a bit, and you mentioned the time frame, right? And I find when people go into functional and integrative medicine, they've tried everything. And you talked about how this is the root, which, it's a surprise to us and it's a surprise to patients that we're not always trying to find the cause. We're just trying to patch it up. And so, you know what I've been thinking about, and I'm so glad you're here to have this conversation with me. Let's say I don't know what our hours are, but I know doctors only get like 4 hours of nutrition, and ours isn't that much different. It's either 3 or 4, but it is nothing more than that. But think about all the years that we get in pharmacology and all the years that you need to pass boards. Like literally the exam is about drugs. And in order to maintain that licensure, it's also about drugs. So I was in a patient support group and they were mentioning all these things that were like in the kitchen. And I was like, I have to go look that up. Why do I have to go look that up? And it made me start thinking about our education and training and then what's required. And then when I go to these conferences, the agenda is dictated by pharma. And if I'm
Yeah.
running a conference, I want pharma money. So then I was like, pharma is really everywhere. And what if
Mhm.
our education, what if pharma was only 4 hours? And then all those other years was everything else that you just listed: the sleep, the stress, the activity, the socialization, relationships, spirituality. What if think about how our conversations would be totally different? Because every time you ask me a question, I'm just leaning on what I learned. If all my learning is on this side, that's what our conversation's going to be. That's what you're going to go home and do. As opposed to this medication that the patients say make them feel sicker, that they say doesn't work, that they can't afford, that they're not taking like we prescribed it, that's making them feel a way that they don't want to feel. And then they're wondering, how come I'm not better? When's it going to get over? How long is it going to take? Even they're kind of frustrated. So what are your thoughts about about that?
It made me think of the fact that when I used to work in geriatrics, I was known to take client patients off of medications. If you ever worked in geriatrics, the average number of medications there are about 15. That little old lady or little frail man is taking about 15 medications. And when I would come in there, I was known to go through that medication list, look at what was needed, look at what wasn't needed, and have a conversation. So I think I may have always been a holistic provider if I really think about it. Because the fact of the matter was, that little old lady or man, most of their complaints came from the side effect of the medication, that was supposed to be helping them. Because we give the medication to help you, and then the medication for that side effect, and then you have the other side effect from that one. So a lot of times I would sit down and I would go through, do we need this? Do we need this? Are they using this? Are they using that? Because as the primary care provider, I see everything, but the specialist, this specialist gives these three, this specialist gives these four, this specialist, and nobody's actually looking at each other's stuff. So then we have this patient that's dealing with all of this. And when we start to pull back on some of these medicines, of course, there are some that's needed, but on average, I could probably take off about five. It may have been five that were prescribed and it just never was discontinued because we're bad about the polypharmacy and just giving without taking off. And it's because that, like you said, that's what we learn is polypharmacy. I feel like it was when I started this journey about 5 years ago in living abroad is when I started to learn more about the food, how food is medicine, learning about supplements, taking my celery juice. At the sign of an infection, instead of counting the days to when I should take an antibiotic, I just go and get my baobab and, put a spoon of that in there. I go and I get some other herbs, add a spoon here, a spoon there, take a cup for the next 3 days, and I'm good. I may, so it's the way that we look at things. Even with my son, when I left the States, my son was on 8 medicines. He takes 2, one for asthma. Actually, yeah, just one for asthma and an inhaler. He takes nothing for his actual condition. And the same doctors that prescribed it, oh, he's doing wonderful. He hasn't declined a bit. What are you doing? Well, I'm not doing any of this. And that's not to say that we don't need any of that. What you need, you stay on. But what you don't need, talk to your provider about taking off because these medicines, they do very good things. But then they do some bad things too. If we started walking, we may be able to get off the blood pressure medicine. It's just little things. But also in America, as Americans, it's very difficult for us to do little things. So we really have to focus in on just the walking because do we have time? So all those things are taken into consideration.
Yeah, and yeah, thank you. We do like to go over some vocabulary words sometimes here. The polypharmacy, which is when it's like more than 5 or 6 medications.
Yes.
Right. And then deprescribing, which maybe some patients might be surprised to hear that that's a thing. And some patients have complained that, oh, you're just giving me pills, right? And there's 2 experiences with that where they want to know when is it going to be over? When can I stop taking it for a chronic condition, right? And then you have to go on and explain how there's no cure for your condition, but we use this medication to manage your symptoms. But then we also have the conversation like, you don't have to take this forever if you make these lifestyle changes. Your diagnosis doesn't have to be a destination. And so we're always having that conversation with clients. And so I thank you for bringing the importance of that up, especially for older adults where they are taking a lot more medications. And with that comes a lot of risk. And I love your story about how your son is on so fewer medications now that you've made all of these adjustments. And so correct me if I'm wrong, because kind of our medical model is I need to fix this fast. But when we look at the functional model, it's more about I'm willing to invest in my long-term wellness. That's a completely different mindset. Can you just let me know if I'm hearing you correctly?
That's correct. For me, what I do are programs. You have to commit to being with me for 3 months because we can't make major changes overnight. So when we start, our first appointment is an hour and a half, and it is a very detailed appointment. And from there, we're going to go through all of these different aspects that we talked about today. And we're going to take maybe the top 3 or 4. And that's what we're going to focus on. And together, we're going to come up with a plan. And that plan can't be done if we meet every 6 months or if we see me once a year. So I see all of my clients every other week. If they don't see me, they see my mental health coach. And we go step by step. And those appointments can look different. Those appointments may be going through your grocery list and going through what you have in the cabinet, what we need to remove and what we need to add.
Okay, so correct me if I'm wrong. When we talk about the medical model, it's kind of the mindset of I need to fix this fast. And when I hear you talk about the functional model, it's I'm willing to invest in my long-term wellness. That's a completely different mindset. Can you just let me know if I'm hearing you correctly?
Yes, that's absolutely right. With me, I won't let patients come and do one visit here, one visit there. They definitely have to commit. So for my programs, they start at 3 months. I do have a 6 week intro, but when we really get into things, it starts at 6 months. Because if we're going to make big promises and want big changes, we need to be able to commit. So that looks like seeing myself or my mental health coach every other week. And we're gonna make big changes. We do a your first appointment with me is about 90 minutes after you do a full assessment, written assessment, and pretty much telling me all about yourself. And we go into detail on the things that we discuss, whether it's mental health, whether it's physical, whether it's things like diabetes. We go into detail on that. And from these things that we mentioned previously, whether it's stress, whether it's spirituality, whether no matter what it may be, whether it's mental health, we look at the top 3 things and we focus on those, and we together create a plan around that on how healing looks for you. So that can incorporate so many different things. I had a client in Thailand. We incorporated Tai Chi. I had a client in Dubai. We have to figure out what food she can eat that she would actually like living in Dubai and not living in America. And she's vegetarian. So, it doesn't matter to me where my clients are. If you're in Atlanta, I'm like, okay, I know where we can do this, or this. But we do not only talk therapy, we do medical management, and we also incorporate real life modalities that are going to make a big difference in your life. So yes, you need to be committed. I tell people at least 3 months. That doesn't mean we're going to solve every problem in 3 months, but we're at least going to start, because the goal is that you're going to take these tools and you'll be able to move forward with it when you do leave me.
I love that. For our patients and caregivers who are listening, I know especially in our culture, we want that microwave solution. We want it fixed yesterday. But what
Mhm.
you're teaching us is that real sustainable healing takes time, and that's actually okay. It's more realistic. And so I just want to let her kind of catch everyone up, make sure we're all on the same page. What we've covered is how functional medicine, it's not a fad. It's a comprehensive approach to finding root causes, which everybody wants. We've busted the myth that NPs don't have knowledge to manage complex cases, and we've established that mental health improvement is a journey and not a quick fix. So let's talk about what that journey actually looks like. And this is your second takeaway. Functional medicine offers a path to address the root causes of mental health and women's health concerns, going beyond just medication to look at the whole picture of what's happening in your body and even around our bodies, right? Because our environments play a huge role when it comes to that. Now that we understand the challenges and the misconceptions, let's get practical. So let's say Keisha wants to consult you and your team, which we would love to hear more about who your team is and what that actual steps looks like to schedule an appointment with you. So where should they start?
A heart attack does not always look like the movies. It does not always come with someone clutching their chest and falling to the floor, especially not in women, and especially not in Black and brown women. Here are the signs: chest discomfort, pressure, squeezing, fullness, or pain that lasts more than a few minutes or goes away and comes back. Discomfort in the upper body, one or both arms, the back, the neck, the jaw, or the stomach. Shortness of breath, with or without chest discomfort. And other signs that women more commonly experience include nausea, lightheadedness, and unusual fatigue that comes on suddenly and feels different from normal tiredness. Women are more likely than men to have a heart attack without classic chest pain, and research shows that women's symptoms are more likely to be dismissed by care teams and by themselves. Do not dismiss yours. If you think something is wrong with your heart, call 911. Do not drive yourself to the hospital. Do not wait for symptoms to pass. Aspirin may help if you are not allergic, but call 911 first. Know the signs, trust your body, act fast. This message is brought to you by the Melanin Initiative podcast, where we simplify health information so you can advocate for yourself and the people you love. Find us on Apple and Spotify.
So what they would do is they would book a breakthrough call. That's a complimentary call where we sit down and we talk about what's really going on. For that call, I always do a depression screening because that gives me an idea of where you are with your mental health. So from there, we continue and we talk about what's going on. For some people, that may be, I'm overwhelmed, I'm overworked, I need to find myself. I'm this caregiver of the sandwich generation where you're caring for your parents and you're caring for your children. For other people, that may be some perimenopause symptoms. A lot of us are dealing with perimenopause. So that may be the brain fog. It may be pain, shoulder pain, back pain. There's a number of things here that can be going on. So this is what we do in that breakthrough call is we discuss that. And, by the end of the call, we discuss if this will be a good fit for you because it's not a good fit for everybody. So we make that decision, and from there, we move on to the next step, and that would be our first actual appointment, which is the 90-minute appointment with myself. And you do a full assessment. It's about 10 pages. We look at depression, anxiety. We look at ACEs, which deals with the childhood events. We look at your medications. I look at just about everything. And we have a discussion to clarify things because when people fill it out, there's always something that we need to dig a little deeper or clarify. And then by the end of that, we discuss what is it that's most important to you? What do you feel like we need to focus on? What brought you to me today? And that's where we focus our attention and we create a care plan from there. Regarding my team is small. It's myself and I have a mental health coach. She is absolutely amazing, PhD, education in mental health, and her focus is on Black women and just our journey. Right now, she's actually in South Africa doing a whole healing summit. So I think that is absolutely amazing. And then I have my VA that works with me. So when you come to my clinic, you will get me. And I am very passionate about creating this personalized plan. Nobody's plan looks the same. It is completely and 100% based off of you for some women for once. Because you're always lost in that shuffle.
And I want to remind our audience that at the start of this, you talked about your own experience because you're a patient too. Mm-hmm. And I think that really sets you apart. So for other entrepreneurs building healthcare businesses, this is the model, meeting people where they are because you've been where they are. Mm-hmm. So if someone is listening to you, they hear it, it sounds wonderful, right? But they're scared it's going to take forever and they want relief right now. What would you say to them?
We figure out these small baby steps because the thing is, it's not going to necessarily take 3 months for you to get any relief, right? There's no number that we put on that. There are things that we will put in place in the very beginning that will start to give you relief. With my clients that's experiencing insomnia, there are things that we will start with in the beginning because that's what's most important to you. So that's why this is different. This is based off of what is most important to you, and that's where we start. And we take those small steps that lead to these larger accomplishments. So we start small. And by starting small and meeting on that regular basis, you'll start to see changes immediately. You're going to see changes because you're doing things differently. And then as we go along, you'll start to see even more. I remember one of my patients at the end of our 3 months, she said, I've done therapy. I've seen doctors. She was a travel nurse. So she was like, I've seen people all over. She was like, but for the first time, I feel like we actually healed mother and father wounds, things that I've been trying to do forever. And that wasn't me, that was her. But she just needed that guidance. She just needed those tools. She just needed to know, even questioning herself as a mother. When she left, she said, I really feel like I can do this now. I question whether I could, but I really think that I can.
And for that high achieving woman who stresses on a 10, their to-do list is never ending. What you did was break it down and you put it into baby steps because we're suffering with decision fatigue and feeling overwhelmed and burnt out. And if I have to think about something even bigger than that overwhelm, I can't, I'm overwhelmed, I don't take action. And what we
Right.
want them to do is exactly that, take action. And when I hear you, when you're talking about that story, what you're saying is that you're really offering permission to prioritize themselves, permission to take healing, which requires permission to not be strong all the time. And I think that's revolutionary, especially for women of color. Now let's bring this full circle. Let's remember Keisha, the woman we talked about at the beginning, exhausted, dismissed, feeling alone. Now that you understand her story doesn't have to end with just managed her stress better. There's a path forward that honors her experience, addresses the root causes, and gives her back her peace without requiring her to shrink or suffer. And then she has education. That education is powerful. She knows what's going on. She knows the first step to take. She knows who to reach out for and what that reaching out is going to look like. Because for myself, because we're talking about how you're going to start to see changes immediately because you're doing something different. If you want a different outcome, you have to do something differently. And I also just started therapy, and in one of the sessions he asked me, what was the biggest takeaway for you? And I was like, you validated my experience. I know other high achieving women want to feel that too, right? Have all my problems been solved? Absolutely not. Do I still have a stress that's at a 10? Absolutely. But that validating experience gave me so much hope, so much relief, and it let me know that this is a safe space, right? And that the things that I want are actually possible. Because I'm experiencing it right now. That little bit is enough for today. That's enough for today. And I'm going to show up tomorrow and keep showing up. And so, for our audience, another one of our final takeaways is prioritizing your self care and understanding your body's unique needs isn't a luxury. It's crucial, especially if you're a high achieving woman. True strength lies in your self awareness, setting boundaries, which only you can do, and actively pursuing well being. Even it takes time, and you're worth taking that time. That's why Charisma and her whole team are there, giving you those 90 minutes. That's luxury to me. That's that's the luxury enough. Okay, it's been incredible. You're amazing, and the fact that you get to see clients in other parts of the world, you're helping us define what it means to be a nurse, which has no period. Okay. Every time someone comes on here and shares their experience, you keep adding to that description and that definition, and you're broadening not only our mind who are already practicing, but there's parents and counselors and advisors giving advice every single day on career. And that's one of the things that drives me the most is because people keep being told the same thing.
Yes.
It's very limited. So it's not just the person who's looking for their career, it's the people giving advice. They actually need to be better equipped with information on what the future looks like, because that's people are taking your advice and they're following it, and it's incomplete.
Yeah.
So before we close out, I want to just speak one more time to the woman listening who needed to hear this today. The one who's been pushing through, who's been told she's fine when she knows she's not. The one who's wondering if anyone understands. What do you want her to walk away knowing?
Know the signs of a stroke because the faster you act, the more of the brain you save. Use the word fast. F for face. Ask the person to smile. Is one side drooping? A for arms. Ask them to raise both arms. Does one drift down? S, speech. Ask them to repeat a simple phrase. Is their speech slurred or strange? T, time. If you see any of these signs, call 911 immediately. Do not drive yourself. Do not wait to see if it gets better. Time is brain. Every minute counts. Other signs of stroke include a sudden severe headache with no known cause, sudden vision changes in one or both eyes, sudden confusion, and sudden loss of balance or coordination. Stroke can happen at any age. Black Americans experience stroke at nearly twice the rate of white Americans and are more likely to die from it. Know the signs, share them with your family, put FAST in your phone right now so you never have to remember it in an emergency. If you or someone near you is showing signs of a stroke, call 911. Not in 5 minutes, but now. This message is brought to you by the Melanin Initiative podcast, where we simplify health information so you can advocate for yourself and the people you love. Find us on Apple and Spotify.
That we understand, that I understand, that I've been you where I questioned if anyone understood. So I don't come from, oh, I'm a nurse practitioner, this, that, or the other. No, I'm a mother. I'm a caregiver. Um, I'm a patient. I've been all of those things. So when you speak with me, your story resonates with me. I don't just sympathize, I actually empathize with what you're going through. And I am proof that you can make it, because if I can make it, you can definitely make it. So, yes, absolutely. And that's why I do what I do.
And we thank you. So for our audience, the silent struggle of that high achieving women face, especially women of color who've been conditioned to never break down. We've talked about how functional medicine addresses root causes rather than just managing your symptoms, and why the journey to wellness takes time, and why that is actually a good thing. Because when we've been rushing through everything and we haven't really gotten what we want, it's time to try a different way. So here's what we want you to do next. If you're struggling right now, reach out to Charisma and her team, someone who specializes in women's health and mental health. You don't have to suffer alone. And if you're a healthcare provider, consider how you can create space for those deeper conversations with your patients. How can people connect with you, and what's the first step they should take?
You can go to holisticbreakclinic.com, and on that page, you can learn more about me and what I do, as well as book your complimentary breakthrough call. And I will be waiting for you. So that's how you do that. And I also do courses also. I like to do free master classes and courses. So you can also see that as well. That's my way of giving back to the community. So you have all of those tools at your hands.
And how can we support you?
You can follow me. I'm so bad about that. So you can see my journey on YouTube, Charisma Cares Travels, if you care about how we travel this world. And then you can follow me on Facebook, Instagram. That's Holistic Break Clinic, or Holistic Break Clinic 1 on Instagram. So, or you can look up Charisma Cares. A lot of people know me that way.
Holistic break, I like it. So we've talked about the takeaways for our audience. I want to talk about one takeaway for you, Charisma. It's 3 years from now, and you check in with Keisha. She's taken your courses. She did your 90 days. How do you know that your vision has been fully realized?
Keisha is able to pull from the toolkit that we created when she's going, when stuff hits the fan, and Keisha says, you know what? I'm feeling bad. I know I'm starting to feel anxious. I know the panic attacks are going to start coming. Let me do XYZ to catch it before it gets too bad. That's how I know that Keisha has made it.
And that your vision has been fully realized, right?
Yes.
'Cause even as the visionary, we keep moving the goalposts. And so even you need to be able to recognize that all this hard work that you've been doing is actually paying off.
Thank you so much. I think we question ourselves at times about whether what we're doing is really, really helping or if it's just a dream.
At the time that we're recording, I've done this show long enough and sat behind this mic many a times to know that what you're doing is working. It's meaningful and it's needed, and that you're not alone. There's a lot of women who look just like us who are doing the same work, and we look forward to connecting you all so that you don't have to carry you don't have to carry the responsibility all by yourself.
Thank you so much. And I appreciate you for being that vessel for us.
Yeah. So remember, everyone, you can email us your questions or show ideas to tmi.melanin@gmail.com. If you haven't already, you can still subscribe, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment or two. Please share this information with another high-achieving woman and other healthcare providers so our patients can get the care that they actually imagined and we can give the care that we actually went to school for. We thank you all. At the time of this recording, we release new videos every Sunday at noon Eastern on YouTube and LinkedIn. We drop the audio at 5 a.m. on all your favorite podcast apps. So that our night shift friends can be the first to get something and not the last. We thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time.